from the Infectious Groove podcast and Vinyl channel. Today I'm going to talk about live albums. Do you love them or hate them? Some people have a firm stance, and I've met a couple of people who are right in the middle. I happen to love them, and I'm going to talk about 5 that I love coming right up. Alright, so let's get something out of the way right off the bat. All live albums have overdubs. I would be shocked and amazed if somebody could prove to me that there are very famous live albums that have sold millions of copies that don't have some sort of overdub on them. I'm certain they exist. I'm just saying that most of the popular ones that are out there are either helped a little bit in the studio or helped a lot in the studio. So, having said that, I personally don't mind that a lot. Especially when it comes to the overall vibe and feel. Like if I have seen an artist live and I know they can deliver the goods live, I personally don't mind a lot of overdubs. I do have live albums that I strongly dislike because they didn't even try to hide it, and it doesn't even sound like a live recording. But by and large, when it's handled well, I think it's can be a fantastic, cool thing for people who went to tours or are just fans of the band who love alternate versions. So without further ado, here are just 5 live albums that I love for one reason or another, and I'm going to tell you all about it. First up, Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense. If you don't own this album, please pause this video, find a copy on Discogs, eBay, your local record store, and own this album. You don't even have to be a fan of the Talking Heads to enjoy the hell out of this live album. All the way across the board, the songs that are included are fantastic. The Heads are in their prime as far as their playing abilities. There's so much energy coming off of every single song on this record. Just makes you feel like you were there. Like, I never got to see the Talking Heads live, and this to me is a great document of how electric it must have been in the room to see the Talking Heads live. The audio quality is fantastic. This is one of those albums that I probably don't listen to as much as I should, but whenever I bust this out, at least once per side, I end up stopping and going, holy cow, this sounds amazing. Like the actual sonic quality of the LP sounds just stunningly good, which is a testament to how it was recorded. And again, I'm sure there's some overdubs in there, but it's just a fantastic document all the way across the board. Talking Heads, Stop Making Sense. I can't say enough good things about what a fantastic live record that is. Moving right along, or moving back in time. Now, this is an artist who has, in the past decade, probably a dozen different live releases come out, and honestly, I could have picked any of them and said, oh yeah, this is a great one, but this one in particular, I love. This was a record store day piece for Elvis Presley, and this particular era, late 1969 to late 1961, is just now starting to really get attention outside the Elvis core fan base and from the Graceland estate, like Elvis Presley Enterprises and whatnot. And they've really just now started to give us an embarrassment of riches of releases from that era. And this is definitely one of them. This is a fantastic document of a man on fire. I've said on the channel before, I've said on the podcast several times, you know, when people talk about Elvis, they almost always discount his work in the 70s, and I'm here to tell you, from 69 to 72 and even early 73, you couldn't touch the guy live. This here is a complete dinner show from August 12th, 1970. At the time, Elvis was very famously overworking himself, doing 2, 3, sometimes 4 shows an evening, and all the way across the board, Elvis is on fire on this show. Now, you do get your usual That's Alright, Hound Dog, Heartbreak Hotel, those type of things that were staples in his set list really his whole career. But you get a lot of stuff on here that a lot of people, I don't think, know that he was doing at the time. I just can't help believing. There's actually a live version of 20 Days and 20 Nights. If you're an Elvis fan, you know that's pretty rare to have show up on a set list. Smoke-in version of Polk Salad Annie. Poignant songs that were personal to Elvis at this time in his life for very specific reason. Rip-in rendition of You Don't Have to Say You Love Me, and a magical rendition of Bridge Over Troubled Water. This really just a fantastic release. This was a record store day release, but I don't believe it's too pricey. And honestly, if you find yourself an Elvis live show from late 1969 to early 1971, you could put it in as a placeholder for this. You're going to get a fantastic live experience out of that. The next one up is kind of breaking the rules, because it's a partial live album, partial studio album. And this band is enormous and gets a lot of praise for a lot of things, but I don't hear a lot of people praising this particular record, and that is Rattle and Hum, the direct follow-up to U2's Joshua Tree. And I think maybe this confused a lot of people because it is partial live album and partial new studio material. But for me, the live material that's on here is fantastic. Of all the live album intros that there are out there, this next one is the first one on our new album, and all the famous Ted Nugent intros, and for all that, the intro to this record with This Is a Song Charles Manson Stole from the Beatles, We're Stealing It Back, and then they go into a ripping rendition of Helter Skelter to kick off the record. I think that should be more praised as one of the coolest intros to a live record ever. Again, maybe it doesn't get that praise because it's not a full live record, but the live stuff that's on here is absolutely fantastic. The version of Pride in the Name of Love that's on here is a very, very, very passionate version. Really goes with the theme of the song. For me, the hidden gem that's on this record that almost nobody talks about is the live version of I Still Haven't Found What I'm Looking For, which includes a full choir in it. And if you watch the movie Rattle and Hum, there's a rehearsal version of it where they're kind of putting it together, and then the version that they did at the stadium with the full band and the full choir is included on this LP. And to be honest, from the moment I heard this record on, that is my preferred version of that song. There's an extra stanza in it that the choir director adds before they go full on into the rest of the original third verse. It's just a smoking version of the song, and that, Helter Skelter, Pride in the Name of Love, all the way across the board. I think the live portion of this definitely qualifies as a top live album for me. When the video started, I went on about overdubs and things people don't like about live albums, and that was mostly included because of the next one that I'm going to include, because if there has ever been a live record talked about how overdubbed and the problems that people have with it, I think 3 come to mind, and this is definitely one of them. It wasn't even pressed on vinyl. This here is a counterfeit or a bootleg or whatever you want to call it. I'm gonna do a whole video on this for the channel, so I'm not going to go into too much detail about the counterfeit pressing of it, but that is Van Halen live right here, right now, from the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour. And get the negatives out of the way first. It's been made very public how overdubbed this record is. Depending on whose account you believe, Sammy Hagar has said that the entirety of the audio, band-wise, was completely re-recorded in the studio. Sammy went into the studio and re-recorded his entire vocals, according to him, in one take. I have no horse in that race. I don't care who's telling the truth. I know this. When this live record was released, I had seen Van Halen on the For Unlawful Carnal Knowledge tour, and this was an accurate picture of how good they were live. So it was fine with me then, and it's still fine with me now. I don't really, doesn't detract from it, knowing that there's some discussion and debate over how legitimate it is. I don't doubt that a greater majority of it was re-recorded, but I don't care, because it sounds as good as it did to me when I saw Van Halen live on that tour. The other criticism that I hear about this record, I personally don't really understand. I've heard a lot of people complain that they included David Lee Roth songs on this album, and Sammy Hagar, of course, singing David Lee Roth songs. I don't know how you really get away with a live album of Van Halen without including David Lee Roth songs. I mean, they had 6 LPs with Dave, and at the time, 3 with Sammy. So if you're going to throw a whole set list together, you're going to need to do some of your huge hits that you had with David Lee Roth. And they keep it to a minimum, too. Panama and Jump are on here, and I think very serviceable versions of the songs. And then they even throw in the cover, The Kinks' You Really Got Me, which was Van Halen's first single, so it's not a Dave song per se, even though a lot of people know it as a Van Halen song, not a song by the Kinks. And then there's a Who cover. Sammy gets in a solo song, but for all of its faults and all of the complaining that goes on the internet about this record, I got no complaints, man. It's a top live album for me, for sure. This next one might not be my favorite live album of all time, but this is kind of ending the video on one that I feel as strongly about as I did the album that I started the video with, and that is Queen, live at Wembley. It is a shame and a crime that this is not readily available on vinyl. As of the shooting of this video, I hope someday this portion of this video becomes irrelevant, and this is regularly available on vinyl. Again, it should be. Just a stunning display of Queen as a whole at the height of their powers. Freddie gets so much praise for his job fronting Queen, and it's so deserved. But all four members of Queen are on fire on this record. Everyone is performing at the top of their game. Freddie being the front man, he's going to get the much richly deserved praise. But everything about this record is just stunningly good. They open with One Vision and knock that out of the park. Run through favorites of that era like Hammer to Fall. Then they go back a little bit, do a great rendition of Under Pressure. There's some fun covers in the middle of it. Tutti Frutti, You're So Square Baby I Don't Care, that type of stuff. There's a great version of Radio Gaga. There's a fantastic little slower version of We Will Rock You than they were normally doing. Like in the tours prior, they had pretty much sped through that song. So more of a regular tempo version of We Will Rock You. Just every version of the songs that are on this record are my personal preferred version. Like Bohemian Rhapsody, I don't think there's a better live version of that song that is on here. Queen live at Wembley in '86. So that is the one that caps off some live records that I love. Now, if you're used to watching my top 5 videos, you know that they are not really top 5 videos, just 5 videos, 5 live albums I love, 5 covers that are great, 5 killer sophomore records, things like that. These are not meant to be videos of, I say these are the greatest. I do want to do follow-up videos in the future and include more. So tell me what I didn't include. What are some of your favorite live albums? Have you not looked into some of these and you're going to now? Just hit up the comment section below. Tell me, if nothing else, maybe your 1 or your 2 favorite live records of all time. If you're not subscribed to the channel and you enjoyed the content today, I would hope today is the day that I earned your subscription. So if you would, please hit that red subscribe button. If you don't quite want to subscribe, but you did like what you saw, please give me a thumbs up. That would be cool too. And as always, you can hear more of me and the others speaking on the Infectious Groove podcast. So there's links in the comment section below. In any case, I greatly appreciate you watching. Thanks.